One of the most basic ideas in all of psychology is the idea of a context. So what does the word context mean to psychologists? Stay tuned. Before we get started, subscribe to Psy vs. Psy to help out your friendly neighborhood psychologist while I tell you about contexts. In psychology, as in other sciences, we have specific terminology that means specific things that may differ from how those words are used in other contexts. For psychologists, the word context is one of these words. It has special meaning to psychologists. You'll often hear psychologists talk about a stimulus, or if there's more than one, stimuli, that come to control behavior. A context is a special type of stimulus. Basically, a context is any set of diffuse stimuli that may come to control behavior. It's sort of the opposite of what we might call discrete cues that are a specific target stimulus. For example, Pavlov's dogs learned to salivate when they heard the ticking of a metronome. It wasn't actually a bell. The ticking of a metronome is a discrete cue. It's a specific stimulus that you can identify as controlling salivation. The context in that case would have been the room that they were fed in, the time of day, or even how hungry they were. All of these cues in an environment can serve as a context. Now, often psychologists design experiments where they compare behavior in two or more contexts. I'm not sure why, but we usually refer to contexts with letters like X and Y towards the end of the alphabet, and traditionally contexts are depicted with a colon after the letter. Discrete cues, on the other hand, are usually labeled without the colon and with letters from the beginning of the alphabet, A, B, C, and so on. Here's an experiment I conducted with rats where they received different rewards in two different contexts. In context X, the rats were placed in a testing chamber with a smooth floor. It had an overhead light on and rounded walls with stripes painted on them. In context Y, the walls were rectangular and plain, the light was off, and it had a grid floor, and there was corncob bedding present for a different smell. I don't know which of these cues the rats paid attention to, but the cues together formed different contexts. You have different expectations when you go to Wendy's, to Taco Bell, and to your doctor's office because they're all different contexts. There's not one specific cue that drives those expectations, but rather the context as a whole is what matters. Studies with humans have explored context-dependent memory, where people memorize word lists either on land or underwater. They're in scuba gear. I guess I should have mentioned that. Results showed that recall is better when you recall the information in the same context, meaning those who recalled words underwater performed better if they memorized underwater, and those on land remembered better if they memorized on land. Similar studies have shown that practice learning and recalling information in a similar way or in a similar context, like a multiple choice test, can help boost scores on a later test in the same format. Contexts don't have to be external. Signals inside the body can even serve as contexts. Internal states like hunger, sleepiness, or stress can be contexts. The physiological effects of drugs can serve as a context. There's no one single stimulus that you can point to, but you have an overall mood or mindset that can impact your behavior. So that's what we mean when we say context. We just mean the overall set of stimuli that are available for the organism to learn about, including both environmental and internal cues. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button. It really helps us. Consider subscribing to stay up to date on all things psychology, and until next time, keep thinking. Oh man, last night I made a grocery list while I was all hopped up on gummy bears. Now I can't find the list or remember any of the items on it. There's only one solution.